Procrastination isn't laziness, and here's why your ADHD brain always procrastinates. Do you ever sit down to start an important task, but nothing ever happens? You end up scrolling your phone and hyper focusing on something trivial until bam, it's the night before the deadline, and suddenly you're in panic mode. You blame yourself, call yourself lazy, undisciplined, but deep down, you know it's not that simple. As a business owner or a high performer with ADHD, you might feel baffled why you, someone who's so successful, just cannot start tasks that you really need to do. Or maybe you just actually want to do, even things that matter a lot to you. I've been there myself. I used to procrastinate on everything: work projects, paying bills, even calling back friends, something as simple as that. And I would only spring into action when things became either urgent or when inspiration randomly stuck. And it wasn't because I was lazy or I didn't care. And we know that's not the case. In fact, I cared too much and still could not act. If that sounds familiar, keep watching because I'm going to help you today. Today, I'm going to explain the real reason behind ADHD procrastination. But here's a spoiler alert. You are not lazy. You are not a bad adult. You are not a bad person. And I'm going to show you today some effective strategies beyond the usual advice to help you to break procrastination cycles and actually get things done. First, let's bust the biggest myth. Procrastination is not a character flaw. It's a symptom. For those of us with ADHD, procrastination often has a neurological basis. Research has even shown that ADHD brains have an imbalance in the dopamine reward pathway, which can then lead to motivation deficits. In simple terms, our brains struggle to kickstart tasks that just do not provide immediate stimulation or a reward. It's like trying to start a car with a weak battery. You turn the key and nothing happens. Without a jump start, you're never going to get that car on. While neurotypical people can motivate themselves just by saying, this task is important, so I should do it, and they'll get the job done. An ADHD brain might not respond to the task until there's an imminent deadline or something that's scaring them or kicking up their adrenaline or thrilling them in some way or exciting them. Psychiatrists call this an interest-based nervous system. Dr. William Dodson, who's a leading ADHD expert, she coined that term to explain why typical motivation strategies often fail for us. We're not driven so much by the importance of the task or long-term rewards. We're driven by interest, novelty, challenge, and most importantly, urgency. If a task doesn't hit one of those 4 criteria, our brains basically go into standby mode. Think about it like this. Have you ever wondered why you can spend hours deeply engaged in something that you find fascinating? You could quite easily find yourself hyper-focused on a new hobby, the new thing that's exciting for you, or suddenly diving down a Wikipedia rabbit hole, searching some information that you are interested in. Yet, you can't bring yourself to start a boring task, a boring work report that might only just take 20 minutes. Even 10 minutes. It's because interest and novelty lights up the ADHD brain, while mundane tasks flatline it. Or why you only feel the need to write that 10-page piece of paper or that deadline that is so urgent that you need to spend hours doing it, and you just do it the night before it's due. Because the urgency finally created a do or die scenario that pumped your adrenaline and dopamine enough to power you through. And this isn't an excuse, by the way, it's an explanation. Knowing this changed my life. When I learned about the interest-based nervous system, it was like 1,000 light bulbs went off at the same time. I realized that I was not lazy and I was not broken. My brain was just wired differently. In fact, studies using brain scans confirm that adults with ADHD have got lower dopamine activity in the reward centers. That means for us that we literally do not feel the reward of starting or finishing a dull task the same way others do. So our brains resist expending energy on it. And when this happens, our brains start to seek dopamine elsewhere. A dopamine fix from anywhere other than the mundane tasks that we do not want to do. And it's often by drifting into something more stimulating. So social media is a big one. You might start finding yourself doom scrolling, the more fun tasks, daydreaming, you name it. So if you are beating yourself up for procrastinating, just take a few deep breaths. It's not that you're lazy or don't care. Your brain is looking for a spark. The trick is to give it that spark in a healthier, intentional way rather than waiting for the last minute panic or guilt. I speak as someone who went from chronically procrastinating to someone who can now start most days with a clear plan, structure, and actually follow through. And how do I do this? Well, let's get into the strategies that can help you hack your ADHD brain's motivation. And here's 4 powerful tactics that I've learned personally that have worked not just for me, but for people around the world. So the first thing is you need to make it interesting. If the task itself is boring, find a way to spice it up. Our brains crave novelty. Something as simple as changing how or where you do the task can literally help instantly. Let's just say you hate cleaning your house, but you love music. Play music and dance to the music whilst you're cleaning your house. Another example is if you've been avoiding, say, writing a report at work, and there's a report on your desk that you need to write and you need to look at, but you just cannot do it. Well, try taking your laptop to a different room or even a coffee shop. You see, a new environment equals novelty. Play music that energizes you while you work. Turn the task into some form of game. When I had to grind through a million tasks that I just didn't want to do, I used to challenge myself. I challenged myself to beat the clock for each session, and I gamified the process. And suddenly, I had the challenge, and it felt engaging. Another idea, do the task in a different type of order than usual, or combine it with something that you really enjoy, like I said, with the dancing and cleaning the house. I hate doing boring tasks like paperwork, for instance, admin work. I hate it, but I love drinking coffee. So I told myself, I'm only going to drink coffee as a reward when I'm doing these mundane tasks that I just do not want to do. And I know it sounds silly, but that silly bit of joy keeps me going. Essentially tricking your brain into seeing the task as less of a dull duty and more as something stimulating. You see, novelty and interest are fuel for ADHD brains, so use them to your advantage. The second thing we're going to talk about, create artificial urgency. Don't wait for the real deadline to light a fire under you. Manufacture a sense of urgency early. Set a shorter deadline for yourself or have someone else set one for you. For instance, if a project is due on Friday, tell a colleague, hey, you'll send the draft by Wednesday, or even better, schedule a meeting Wednesday to review it. Now, you have to get it done by that earlier date. You can also use tools like timers. Pomodoro technique can work wonders too in this situation. Tell yourself, I'll work hard on this for just 10 minutes and set a timer for that 10 minutes. Often, you'll find just by starting a task, you find that's the hardest part. And when you start, you get going, the momentum kicks in and you can't stop. And another big thing to consider is accountability. If you struggle to enforce fake deadlines, say I'm going to set a deadline, the thing's due on Friday, but I'm going to finish it on Wednesday, and you can't stick to that, well, involve someone else. This could literally mean asking a coworker or your spouse to just check in on your progress by a certain time. That slight social pressure is going to help to keep you accountable. And if that doesn't work, then find yourself a coach, because if your friends and family struggle to keep you accountable, guarantee you a coach will. And one of my favorite hacks is body doubling. Working alongside someone else. You can do this virtually or even in person. For example, you and a friend hop on a video call and each mute yourself, but stay on the camera while you work on your own tasks for, let's just say, an hour. It sounds odd, right? But having another person there, even if they're virtual, creates just enough pressure to keep you on task. I use this technique occasionally myself with my own clients. In fact, there's been a ton of evidence around the ADHD communities that have clearly shown that this is an effective thing to do. The bottom line is this: we need to find ways to raise the stakes a bit on yourself before the true deadline looms. It's like giving your brain a head start in the motivation race. And the third thing we're going to look at, break tasks into bite-sized pieces. So we hear this advice a lot, but let me frame it for the ADHD context. Often, we don't start tasks because in our mind, it's a huge, vague mountain of things to do. And we just get too overwhelmed by it. Therefore, if you're overwhelmed about everything, you do nothing. Write the annual report feels enormous. Your brain can't grapple with where to begin, so it just shuts down. Instead, break that mountain into molehills. Write down a very specific first step, a step that is so small and easy that it almost feels silly to even write down. Like, open a new document and write the title and my name. Congratulations, you started. And by doing that, you will find that the momentum kicks in and then you can't stop, like I said earlier. A next step from that point might be jot down 3 bullet points for the intro. By continually focusing on the next tiny thing to do, your tiny next step, you then sidestep the overwhelm that triggers paralysis. I remember always procrastinating when it comes to social media and posting content. And I was always stuck in this overwhelm of where do I start? What do I film? How do I do it? So on and so forth. But then I broke it into steps. Step 1, just turn on the camera. Step 2, record just a 30-second test. Before I knew it, I tricked myself into doing the whole thing. And also try your best to make tasks concrete. Prepare slides for meeting is still a bit abstract to a degree. Instead say, draft one rough slide on topic X. Concrete and small is the mantra here. This method works because each small win gives you a little dopamine hit, which ends up motivating you to tackle the next bit and then the next bit. It's like feeding your brain bite-sized snacks of accomplishments to keep you interested. And the fourth thing that we're going to look at is address the emotional roadblock. Sometimes procrastination isn't just about the task being boring. It's about fear or discomfort. ADHDers can be very sensitive to things like the fear of failure or perfectionism. If you suspect that you are avoiding a task because it's emotionally daunting, maybe you're afraid that you won't do it well, or maybe it's tied to higher stakes. Just take a moment to acknowledge that feeling. Just take a few seconds just to acknowledge it. See, our tendency might be to bury the anxiety and just avoid the task. But try a different approach. Let's try confronting the emotion head on. Tell yourself, I'm feeling anxious about this because I want it to be perfect. Then give yourself permission to do a draft or a rough version. And by doing this, you will remove the pressure of perfection. I often say, okay, I'll do a garbage first draft that no one will ever see. By me saying that, the pressure comes off, and this tricks my brain into just getting started because the expectation is so low in that situation. And guess what? Once I start, it's never as bad as I thought. Another emotional hack is this: visualize the outcome and how you're going to feel after completing the task. For example, imagine the relief and pride after submitting something or completing a very mundane task. That positive emotion that you've completed it can sometimes just pull you out of the dread of beginning. Also, self-compassion is key too in this situation. Beating yourself up, telling yourself things like, I'm so lazy, I suck at this, only makes you more anxious and less likely to start. Instead, just try talking to yourself as you would a friend. Yes, I know this is hard for you, but you've already done hard things before. Let's just take it bit by bit. Tell yourself that. Reducing that fear and negative self-talk can easily and quickly release the mental brakes that are holding you back. To recap, your ADHD brain procrastinates not because you're immoral or lazy, but because it needs interest, it needs a challenge, it needs novelty, it needs urgency. Without interest, challenge, novelty, or urgency, you're never ever going to get started. So we need one of those four things to turn the key in the ignition and get the car going. When those elements are missing, you can supply them through hacks. Make tasks more stimulating, create an urgency, accountability, break the tasks into much doable chunks, and address the emotional factors. These strategies transformed my productivity, not just mine, but so many people around the world. And I went from constantly panicking at deadlines, trying to meet things, and frankly disappointing people and myself actually, to being more in control of my life and my work and my business. I won't claim I never procrastinate, but now at least I have a toolkit to snap myself out of it within seconds if it ever comes into my mind, and you can do the same. So if you found these insights helpful, give me a follow, give me a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be posting new ADHD strategies and insights every single week, and I do not want you to miss out. Also, leave me a comment down below. Let me know, what's the weirdest thing that you've ever done to beat procrastination? I bet some of you have done some creative things, so share them below. And if there's any ADHD specific challenge that you are going through that you want me to cover in a future video, just let me know in the comments as well. And lastly, if you are tired of fighting this battle alone and want to dig deeper into mastering your ADHD mind, consider reaching out to me for a very informal chat. Message me on my Instagram. It's George_life coach, and I'm always happy to hear you, hear your story, and talk about how maybe you can apply a more personalized framework to turn these kind of struggles into strengths. I've helped doctors, engineers, entrepreneurs, people who thought that they would never ever escape the procrastination trap, to completely change their approach and unlock their fullest potential in their business, in their career. And if they can do it, if I can do it, so can you. Remember, you are not lazy. Your brain just works differently, and with the right support and the right strategies, you can work with it and thrive. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.